Are you so sick of the side effects of your blood pressure medication that you're just seconds from... Hi, I'm Dr. Marlene Merritt, and if you've been searching for a natural way to lower your blood pressure, then this free video presentation just might save your life. Because in just a few moments, I want to share with you one tasty trick for lowering your blood pressure that the big drug companies would do anything to keep you from discovering. And I'm also going to reveal the one toxic food that you must avoid if you want healthy, natural blood pressure levels. And it's not salt, as you've been led to believe. So please pay careful attention to the information I'm about to reveal to you, because I don't know how long this free video will be available. Now, the moment you learn this simple tip, you'll be able to take control of your own health, instead of living at the mercy of a billion-dollar pharmaceutical industry that wants to hook you for life. Imagine the relief you'll feel, getting your health and energy back, unafraid to sit down for a blood pressure test at home or your doctor's office, confident that your numbers will read as healthy as a 20-year-old's. Watching serenely as your BP numbers shrink past 140/90, 127/87, 122/79, and even lower. And all without having to put dangerous drugs into your system. Drugs that make you feel like you're just not yourself anymore, like you're a stranger in your own body. So if you've ever wanted to say enough to your blood pressure meds, because you're sick and tired of side effects like splitting headaches, energy-stealing fatigue, insomnia, mysterious painful rashes, or frequent urination, and you're convinced there must be a better way to target the root cause instead of just masking the symptoms, then you're not alone. Because that's exactly how a retired railroad engineer named Dan felt after he was put on 6 different medications. He finally had enough, so he tossed his meds in the trash. Now, when Dan did this, his wife was shocked. In Dan's words, she went ballistic. And for a good reason. See, she is an emergency room nurse, so she's witnessed more than her share of horror stories of people who let their blood pressure run out of control and suffered the consequences: kidney failure, blindness, heart attacks, and the ravages of stroke, the paralyzed faces, the slurred, impossible-to-understand speech, the humiliating disorientation, and the months or years of rehabilitation just so they could manage simple things on their own, like button their own pants after using the bathroom. And those were the lucky ones who lived. Dan's wife knew that high blood pressure is the #1 cause of strokes in America. So you can understand why she was horrified by Dan's decision, especially when you hear what Dan's blood pressure was just 1 week earlier. An extremely high 200/100. So high, some doctors would recommend immediate hospitalization. But Dan wasn't being silly or ignoring reality. He was simply a man who had had enough. I'll let him tell it.
We give you this for the blood pressure, and this medication here is to offset the blood pressure medication, and this third medication is to offset your medication we're giving you on to offset this one. And that's why I told my wife, I said, I'm taking a blood pressure medication, and I've got 3 other medications to counteract what the blood pressure medication does. And I said, that's crazy.
Maybe you know firsthand what Dan experienced when you're taken for a ride on what I call the drug roller coaster. Because just like on a roller coaster, you keep going up and down as your doctor experiments with one drug after another, hoping but failing to find one perfect fit. So maybe this week it's a diuretic that forces you to sneak away to the bathroom every 10 minutes, causing you to rush to the doctors and plead for something else. And so the following week he puts you on a beta blocker that drains your energy, leaving you stumbling around in a fog. But the ride is just getting started. Because then you get saddled with even more drugs to combat the side effects of the blood pressure drugs. And those new drugs have their own side effects that demand even more drugs, and on and on. That's life on the drug roller coaster. Well, Dan had enough, and that's why he tossed his meds. And the startling truth is, he could trash his meds without facing his doctor's disapproval, or the wrath of his wife. Because once he showed her his new blood pressure numbers, she couldn't help but agree with his decision. Because his new numbers didn't lie. I'll let Dan share the good news.
Within a week, I went from 200/100 to 126/71.
That's right, from a dangerous, stroke-threatening 200/100 to 126/71, the numbers of a healthy 17-year-old. And in just 1 week! That's faster than some prescriptions work. And Dan slashed these 110 points from his BP when he discovered an unusual natural secret that I call the butter shortcut. The butter shortcut is based on simple, tasty choices that you'll love. And it works fast. In fact, some people using this butter shortcut have sent their high blood pressure plummeting in as little as 3 days. And best of all, it does not depend on a single manufactured drug. And don't worry, this isn't like the advice you may have heard in your doctor's office. You won't have to throw away your salt shaker. Because did you know that too little sodium will actually cause your blood pressure to rise? And you won't be forbidden to ever eat another slice of bacon or denied enjoying a rich helping of creamy butter when you sit down to dinner. Yes, real butter. Instead, the butter shortcut is a practical and mouth-watering way to lower blood pressure, allowing you to enjoy real foods like fresh eggs and juicy steaks that deliver key ingredients your body needs, helping you zap your high blood pressure at its source, while you shed unwanted pounds, banish nagging stress, and enjoy a renewed surge of energy. And it's a secret that over 43,000 people, in addition to Dan, have discovered from all over America, all the way to the ends of the earth from Australia to South Africa. People like Betty H. from Mims, Florida, who wrote, "And yes, I have not taken any BP meds in a month now, and my BP went from 154/80 down to 118/68. I couldn't be happier. Very easy steps to follow, easy to download, and great results. This is an easy program to follow." And Mark B. from Corona, California, who achieved startling results in just 2 weeks. "My blood pressure was at 162/86, and in 2 weeks, I got it down to 130/80. And Karen C. from Aldershot, Australia, was able to slash her meds with her doctor's blessing. "My doctor just halved my BP medication and said he may cancel it if I keep up the good work. I have had a serious BP drop." They all achieved amazing drops in their blood pressure, and they did it fast, sometimes in just a matter of a few days, while at the same time ridding themselves of stress and extra weight, because Dan dropped 20 pounds without breaking a sweat, and Ed H. from Linwood, Washington, dropped 25 pounds. I've dropped from 210 pounds to 185. My blood pressure is now normal, and my energy level has gotten better as well as a more positive outlook. Thanks so much for your continued support. It's making a real difference in my life and that of my family. Now, I totally understand if you may feel a little skeptical and maybe even wondering, blood pressure that drops like a stone in just days? Melting away fat and banishing stress while enjoying bursts of renewed energy? Is it really possible to accomplish this without drugs? Well, the drug companies certainly want you to believe that it's not possible, because they desperately need the billions of dollars they get from selling us blood pressure medication. In fact, blood pressure medication, or antihypertensives, are the single most prescribed drugs in the U.S., totaling nearly 700 million prescriptions in 2013 alone, more than those for diabetics, high cholesterol, and nervous system disorders combined. So it's no wonder that Big Pharma pushes these drugs on overworked doctors so hard, doctors who just don't have the time to deeply understand your situation. So they never get at the root causes of your high blood pressure. Plus, doctors today just aren't trained to heal with natural means. For example, most receive less than 23 hours of training in nutrition during their entire education. So it's not surprising that most resort to the easy choice of scribbling out a prescription. Now, when I decided to devote my life to medicine, I knew I didn't want to get stuck in that system. So I dedicated myself to an education that was laser-focused on natural ways to cure diseases. Remedies supported by centuries of success and backed up by the latest science. Natural cures that eliminate illnesses at their source. And for me, it's personal, because traditional drugs failed to help me too. See, when I was only 20, I was diagnosed with a faulty valve in my heart. It threatened to rob me of my quality of life. At the time, my doctor prescribed medications. But even with those foreign chemicals churning in my body, I was still hammered with chest pains every time I walked up a flight of stairs. So I was forced to give up my active lifestyle, watching my friends enjoy themselves while I sat on the sidelines. I had to quit my cycling team, which I loved, and stay away from any kind of exhilarating activity, in fear of the moment my heart would start pounding like a jackhammer and be clobbered with crushing pain in my chest. That was my life, and I thought I was stuck in it forever. But years later, after I received my degree in Oriental medicine, I knew there had to be a better way than traditional drugs, especially since they weren't working that well anyway. So I sought out a natural health practitioner who had had a hunch that a nutrient deficiency was to blame for my faulty valve. He showed me how to supply my body with the ingredients it needed, and within a week my chest pains diminished and my energy level shot back up. So much that I was finally able to get back on the bike and ride long distances again. And so I celebrated with a 26-day across-the-country bike ride the very next year. And because I never want to see my patients needlessly suffer for years like I did, I devote my work at Merrick Wellness Center to help my patients get off drugs and find natural, permanent solutions. Working with my team, which includes my husband, Dr. Will Mitchell, together we've been able to help hundreds of people ditch their meds and get back to enjoying their life just by using natural remedies. People like Joe W., who told me, "The program Dr. Merritt put me on resulted in a miracle. My high blood pressure plummeted. I was taking 4 BP pills, and now I'm down to half a pill. Also, cholesterol down about 30 points with no statin drugs." My training in natural medicine. I'm licensed as a doctor of Oriental Medicine by both the Texas State Board of Medical Examiners and by the New Mexico Board of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine, and I have a master's degree in nutrition. It's led me to understand and heal disorders at the root cause. Because it's only when you get at the root cause of your high blood pressure that you'll be able to solve it permanently. And that's what I want to help you with today. By helping you understand exactly what's causing your high blood pressure so you too can experience the dramatic drops in blood pressure that you've heard about already. You see, once you understand the cause, you'll see exactly why pharmaceutical drugs have failed to provide a permanent solution. So first things first, what actually causes high blood pressure? Well, if you're like the vast majority of people with high blood pressure, doctors will tell you it's a mystery. Here's a typical answer from WebMD. In as many as 95% of reported high blood pressure cases in the U.S., the underlying cause cannot be determined. This type of high blood pressure is called essential hypertension. So for the overwhelming majority of people with high blood pressure, up to 95%, or 19 out of every 20, doctors cannot point to a cause. I find that shocking. When you consider that high blood pressure is the number one cause for doctor appointments, and that more than 680 million blood pressure drugs are prescribed each year, you'd think we'd have an answer to what causes it, but we don't. So to me, the real mystery is, why doesn't the medical establishment know what causes high blood pressure? Well, it's certainly true that the big pharma lobby doesn't help. Better for them if it remains a mystery that can only be helped with drugs. But we can also get a clue to this mystery from the way that doctors treat the small minority of patients who have what is called secondary hypertension. Remember, this is for the small minority, just 1 in 20. So if you have high blood pressure, it's probably not this kind. Here's WebMD again with a definition. When a direct cause for high blood pressure can be identified, the condition is described as secondary hypertension. Direct causes? Like what? A typical culprit is kidney disease, which raises blood pressure as a byproduct. Now, the words direct cause are a big clue to the mystery, because doctors are trained to look inside the body for a mechanism that causes disease. In a way, they're glad to find a case of secondary hypertension, because then they can point to one part of the body, like the kidneys, and say, that's the cause of your high blood pressure. But with most cases of high blood pressure, they can't point to anything inside the body, and that's because it's not inside the body. It's all around us, in what I call the modern toxic environment. The modern medical system simply doesn't know how to deal with these outside causes. It's not something you can attack with a scalpel or a drug. So they never get at the root cause. Instead, they prescribe drugs to treat the symptoms. For example, ACE inhibitors like lisinopril, which blocks a natural compound in your body, a compound that keeps your blood vessels firm so that your blood vessels relax and your blood pressure goes down. This is a brute force solution, like busting open a lock with a hammer to get the door open because you don't have the key. Well, drugs like lisinopril can sometimes get the door open, but they're also notorious for causing a host of troubling side effects like energy-draining fatigue, persistent coughing, headache, and nausea. That's why I look for the key to the problem, allowing me to understand the root cause of our high blood pressure, the modern toxic environment, which helps explain why rampant high blood pressure is so prevalent today, afflicting 63 million Americans. That's 1 out of every 3 adults. See, our ancestors didn't live in the world we do now, which is why they didn't seem to have the same rampant problems with high blood pressure. And even today, some of us are just more susceptible to the dangers of the modern toxic environment, which is why some of us develop high blood pressure, but others don't. So what are these dangers? The chief culprit of this toxic environment is the number 1 worst food I promised to tell you about, what you must avoid if you want to lower your blood pressure. I'm talking about the factory-processed, mass-produced packaged food that big agri-companies have flooded the market with. These foods are injected with buckets of sodium to preserve them for the long months spent in delivery trucks and on shelves, and saturated with sugar to fool our taste buds into thinking the cardboard ingredients are good. And what about the laundry list of unpronounceable chemicals on their ingredient labels? This garbage doesn't even deserve the name food. And worst of all, they don't even taste very good. leaving us feeling bloated and sick as they bombard us with toxic fillers that cause our blood pressure to rise and cause our blood sugar to spike and force our bodies to pack on pound after pound of excess fat. It's like we're trapped in a room slowly filling up with deadly carbon monoxide, leaving us gasping for breath as the cells in our body are crying out for oxygen. But the oxygen can't reach them because the toxic carbon monoxide shoves it aside. And that's just what these artificial substances are doing to our cells, crowding out the wholesome, natural ingredients that our bodies desperately need. And when you throw in the other culprits of our modern environment, dangers like chronic stress that doesn't have an off button, nutrient-poor foods caused by decades of over-farming and soil depletion, making it nearly impossible to supply our bodies with the ingredients they need from food alone, polluted air and genetically modified crops, it's no wonder that our bodies cry enough and rebel against us, triggering diseases like obesity and high blood pressure. But the great news is, it doesn't have to be that way. You can give your body exactly what it needs to restore balance to your health, defeating the toxic culprits in our environment. Just like the people you're hearing from today, they all discovered the butter shortcut in a step-by-step guide I'm proud to introduce, the blood pressure solution. The blood pressure solution is a smart system that shows you the exact ingredients your body needs to lower blood pressure naturally, showing you how to get over 19 master ingredients into your body without using a single drug. You'll discover how to enjoy the tasty butter shortcut every time you sit down for a meal as you savor mouth-watering dishes that block, crush, and transform the toxins of our modern environment. And you'll discover how to lower your blood pressure beyond just the foods you eat, as you equip yourself with a total system to lower your stress and restore your energy. The blood pressure solution is exactly how Dan was able to lower his blood pressure from 200 over 100 to 126 over 71 in just 1 week, allowing him to escape the drug roller coaster for good. Over 43,700 people have used the blood pressure solution to change their lives in record time, like Stacy O from Mount Home, Idaho, who finally discovered the solution to her high blood pressure after 8 years of riding the drug roller coaster. 8 years of trying over 10 different drugs, racking up over $1,000 in insurance copays, and the first drug she ever took gave her painful blisters when she spent time in the sun. So her doctor kept trying other drugs. Fast forward 7 years and 8 drugs later when her new doctor ran a blood test to help find the perfect drug. But that new drug turned out to be the worst of all because it caused blinding sparks of light to erupt in her field of vision, forcing her to quit her job as a truck driver because at any moment she could go blind on the road, sending her 129,000-pound load crashing into the nearest car. Thankfully, a friend introduced her to the blood pressure solution, and in under a month, her blood pressure dropped by 105 points. Now Stacy says,
in 8 years, it's the first time I can say I'd be legal to drive a truck again without medication.
The blood pressure solution works because it targets the root causes of high blood pressure, instead of just masking the symptoms. With a blood pressure solution, you'll follow a handful of simple yet forgotten principles, discovered and perfected long before the first blood pressure drug rolled off the drug company's manufacturing lines. These principles, like the butter shortcut, will help you drop excess fat, reduce your stress levels, and eliminate the toxic factors that spike your blood pressure. So you'll never be afraid to check your blood pressure again. Just imagine what it will feel like to stroll to your next checkup and watch the blood pressure cuff as it's wrapped around your arm. You sit back serenely, unafraid of what the numbers will show, and just smile when your doctor asks in puzzlement, "What have you been doing to get such low numbers?" Just like Angie M. from Walnut Creek, California experienced. Angie told us, "It was so easy. My blood pressure was 180, then 170, the top number, till I read the book. In 3 weeks, my blood pressure was 118, and some days 120. Even my doc wanted to know what I was doing." Because there's no need to fight your doctor or quit your meds cold turkey either, as Christopher from Claremont, California discovered when his blood pressure dropped from 160 over 120 to 110 over 60. As Christopher says, "I would recommend the BPS because in spite of my skepticism, the ideas really work." At the end of the month, the doctor confirmed that such a drastic reduction could not possibly be as a result of taking the drugs on their own and congratulated me on the improvement. So if you want to join the hundreds of people worldwide who have taken control of their health and reverse the causes of high blood pressure, people like Ian N. from Manhattan, who dropped his bottom blood pressure number below the danger zone level of 90 in just 3 days, then simply click the "Yes, lower my blood pressure now" button below. You'll be taken to a secure order form where you'll enter your name, address, and payment information. Your order is completely safe and secure, and you'll get immediate online access to the electronic version of the blood pressure solution, which you can download and start using right away. We'll also ship you a physical copy of the blood pressure solution book, so you can have it by your side as you implement the program. Now, I think you'll agree that a natural solution like this, one that can save you thousands of dollars on insurance copays and help you reclaim your health and energy without being a lifelong slave to drugs, is easily worth hundreds of dollars. But because we want as many people as possible to lower their blood pressure, you won't be asked to pay $200 or even $100 today. In fact, the regular price of the blood pressure solution is just $77. That's less than just one bottle of many overpriced and potentially dangerous blood pressure medications. Less than just one self-pay visit to the doctor, and a lot less than a visit to the hospital if your high blood pressure continues untreated and unchecked. The most important thing you can do right now is act fast, because with high blood pressure every single day, heck, with every single hour, it counts. And that's why if you act right now, in the next 60 minutes, we'll make your decision even easier. Just click the Yes, Lower My Blood Pressure Now button now before the 1-hour countdown ends, and you can get instant access to the blood pressure solution for one single payment of $47.